What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Weisz.
Hey, everybody. This is John Corcoran with Dr. Jeremy Weisz, and this episode is a little bit different. This is a live interview that we recorded at the Global Leadership Conference from Entrepreneurs Organization, where some of the best entrepreneurs from around the globe gathered in Washington, D.C. to share ideas and to learn about entrepreneurship. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25, where we help B2B businesses to give to and to connect to their Dream 100 relationships and partnerships, helping you to run a podcast so that it generates a referral pipeline and ROI.
Yeah, I mean, John, after both of us have been podcasting for over a decade, the number one thing in our life is relationships. And we're always looking at ways to give to our best relationships. And we found no better way to do that over the past decade than to profile the people and companies we admire and shout from the rooftops what they're working on. And this interview is no different. So if you've thought about podcasting, you should go to rise25.com to learn more, or email us at support@rise25.com.
Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the interview.
Enjoy. Jeremy Weisz here. We're live from EOGLC, brought to you by Rise 25. I'm here with Matt. And Matt, tell people your company and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Matt Zalk. We have Keyrenter in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and Northwest Arkansas. We're a property management business. I say we help our clients buy, renovate, and operate real estate assets.
How'd you get into this business?
Oh, years ago I was living in Dubai. I wasn't paying income tax because we had the foreign earned income exclusion. And my sister, one day, I saw her at my grandmother's house for a family event, and she was interested in buying real estate. And I thought, well, I'm also interested in buying real estate. So we started buying properties in Boulder, Colorado, back when they were a little bit cheaper than they are today. And then fast forward a few years, I moved back to the United States and found that the properties I was buying in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where I was at the time, or where I had just moved to, were not as expensive, sophisticated in tenancy and everything else as they were in Colorado. So I was like, I better have a management company to help manage these properties. And from there, we grew the third-party management business.
So was the idea originally you were buying them to rent them out, not to flip them and sell them?
Yeah, we're buy and hold investors. Personally, my sister and I are buy and hold investors, and now all of our partners that are involved in any of the property ownership in Oklahoma or Northwest Arkansas are all buy and hold investors. Until actually December of last year of 2021, we'd never sold a property.
So tell me about the type of clients that you work with.
Yeah, our best clients are clients that are out of state and want to own property in Oklahoma or Arkansas, but don't have the time or the capacity to handle the acquisition, the renovation, and the management of those properties. So we have a bunch of local clients for sure that just don't want to deal with the headache at all. But we can add significantly more value in vendor network and relationships and in the tenanting of properties, et cetera, for people that are out of state, realistically.
So is it someone, they may be living in New York or California, and they're like, whoa, what can I get for my money in Tulsa? And they start owning a bunch of properties there.
Exactly. I mean, they're selling out of properties in California and Colorado, and they go, holy moly, I can exchange into six properties in Tulsa that cash flow pretty nicely. And I've got a team on the ground that can help me with renovations. So not only do I, our company will help with, a tenant has electrical issues. We need to change out a breaker or a panel on the back of the house, or, basic stuff with HVAC when summer comes through and your system goes down for leaking gas. But we can also do gut renovations. I mean, we'll pull permits and then actually do structural work, go up from, to the studs from a foundation point, and then put a roof on it. We'll do everything.
We're going to talk about a general contractor scenario like that in a second. But what are the most common questions you get? Someone's like, they're thinking of working with you. What do they typically ask you?
Oh, it really runs the gamut. People call us and ask, things like, do you collect rent? Which of course we do. That's part and parcel of what we do. But people also want to know kind of where we get involved and how we get involved. So do you deal with administrative issues, tax issues? Sure. Do you guys handle tenant complaints? Sure. How do I find a plumber if there's an issue at the property with, I don't know, a galvanized pipe that gets old and is rusting, whatever? Yeah, we can handle all that. And so mostly clients or prospective clients don't have an idea of like the general scope of what we do. They want to know what that is and what that costs.
So basically, is there anything you don't do? Because it sounds like you do pretty much everything. And I imagine if someone's offsite, they're in California, they don't want to deal with it. They go, we want your company to handle everything. Is there anything you don't do? You're like, yeah, this is not in our realm of expertise.
I would say we shy away from not doing things. So we'll pay your mortgage if you want us to do it. You'll pay your property taxes, your insurance, anything that we can do to help ease your burden, we're happy to do, realistically, right? If there's money in the account, we're happy to pay the bills.
So the answer is like yes. So like, can you do this? Yes, because you have done this across so many places, so many properties.
Right, and what we say is we're helping clients build wealth while taking the headache out of real estate ownership. So if it takes the headache out of it, I'd rather cut a check from our system directly to the Treasury Department, the county treasurer, than have one of our owners sit down, think, how much is that bill? Where's that bill? Pull it out of a drawer. Open a checkbook, write a check, take a stamp, put it on an envelope, write the envelope, mail it. That sounds like a total waste of time for an owner. I'd rather that owner be focused on acquisition. How can I buy more properties, knowing that Keyrenter is handling all the back end stuff, and it comes on a statement at the end of the year. You get a statement that you send to your tax preparer, your CPA, and that CPA knows, oh, you paid $1,800 in property tax. There it is, and you paid half in December and half in February, right before the March deadline. So
what cities are you in now? What regions? If someone's like, I have some properties there, I know someone. Where are you at?
So we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, and Northwest Arkansas. That's Rogers, Fayetteville, Bentonville, all the MSA of Northwest Arkansas. But we handle everything in Oklahoma City and everything in Tulsa. So all the MSAs.
So if someone, I imagine some of these people own properties all over the United States. If they ask you for something in a different state, how does that work?
Oh, yeah. So we get calls all the time that says, hey, I've got a real issue. It has nothing to do with the properties in Tulsa, but let me ask you how you'd handle this. Sure, happy to provide advice and guidance. I mean, sometimes we get comments about our current property manager is telling me that we can't evict a tenant because of the following things. Now, I don't have expertise on the Cincinnati market, for example, but I can tell you what I would do in Tulsa, and if that resonates and you're not violating any of the laws of Ohio, it's probably a similar situation, right? There's only so many ways you can navigate a situation with a tenant. But I would say that sounds ridiculous. What the person is telling you sounds ridiculous. I would kind of approach it this way, and they run off and say, thank you very much. I'll discuss it with them.
I'm sure you and your team and the people you work with, and you've advised people on tough conversations with tenants, and especially during COVID. Are there any? And I'm sure your advice would kind of transcend to spouses or business partners. What are some of the ways that you've coached people to work with tough tenants? Is there a tough tenant situation that sticks out? We don't have to name names, but
I mean, I think generally speaking, having a firm line and sticking to that line is the way to be. I mean, the conversations that I often have with tenants go something like, the Smith family owns this property. They've invested hard-earned money to provide a wonderful place for you to live. And in exchange, you pay rent. If you stop paying rent, they stop being able to invest in properties, and you stop having a house to call home. They don't run a charity. They're running a business. If you would like help with a charity, I have plenty of resources to give you for charity help. But that's not what this is. If you'd like to go in Oklahoma, it's Restore Hope. There's Oklahoma Community Cares Partners. I can introduce you to the right people, but that's not what this is. That's not what the Smith family is providing. They're running a business, and their business product is providing you a home, and in exchange, we've signed a lease contract that stipulates you'll pay the rent on the home. So we can have multiple conversations, but the conversation I'd like to have with you today is, this is not a charity. I can advise you on where to go for charity work. We have a ton of conversations like that. What we don't have often is, I'm not paying rent because the roof has been leaking for 6 months. That's not the way we operate as a company. So as an anecdote, as part of a Gold Star landlord program that we're part of in Oklahoma, we have to go to mediation prior to doing evictions. We have no problem doing mediation because oftentimes mediation results in a tenant saying, well, I've been complaining about this for years and I haven't paid rent because this hasn't been fixed. In our case, it's never like that. It's not like my HVAC's been out it's summer, it's 105 degrees outside, and you haven't provided cooling power for me for 2 weeks. It just doesn't work like that. So we're happy to go to mediation and say, why aren't you paying rent? It's never one of those reasons, but it's often something far sillier.
So general contractor, there was a situation where you got the general contractor involved in one of the properties.
Yeah, so we have Seth Rice on our team, who's, if he ever watches this, is a great person, a great general contractor. I used to do all the general contracting work myself, and clients loved it because we could take a house in any condition. They would hand us the keys in any condition, and we would make it work for them. Turn it into a really nice property that we'd rent and would be successful for them on a cash flow basis. Last summer, a client handed 64 units to us in like a single drop, and 25 of them needed to be renovated. So I was overwhelmed. I was floundering in everyday work, and I hired Seth to do the majority of this work, and now he handles all of it. But our clients know that we can take a property in any condition and make it a beautiful home. We had a property that a client of ours dropped on us. He never should have bought it. He acknowledges he never should have bought it. It was, if you can imagine a decrepit home, this was it. Structurally was sound, but had a terrible, if you can imagine a craftsman style home, had a blocking, a kind of a facade that was blocked. So every time you approached the front door, you were worried whether somebody was hiding behind it was going to jump out and kill you, for example. So we had to tear that thing down, rebuilt the steps, went inside, took down walls, added a beautiful, huge open concept kitchen, turned a third bedroom that had multiple entrances, shut off one of them, made an entrance into the bathroom, so it was en suite now. Just did a fantastic renovation. Got $1,200 in rent, which for a property that he bought for 40 and added 52 at $90,000 is a fantastic rent rate. He's thrilled. He didn't have to lift a finger. All he had to do was fund the account. He's absolutely thrilled. I didn't see the property when in its in the interim. I just saw it in its completed phase and in its infancy, in its primary phase, and I was absolutely blown away. So I see a lot of renovation projects, and that's what I love to do historically, because you can see it from you incept an idea and then you deliver on it, you execute. It's a great feeling to see it kind of come to fruition. And now that I've got Seth doing that work, he on a daily basis he does it. He's got the design concepts and the kind of the thoughts and the execution-minded focus of actually delivering that product. But it's from a client perspective, sitting in Colorado, he wants to invest money, he wants to earn a return, but he doesn't necessarily have the contractors to do the work, and he doesn't have the expertise. This gentleman actually runs a technology business. He doesn't have the expertise to know where you should take down a wall, where it's structural, where where you need to reinforce, whatever else. So he's just tickled.
And now it commands much higher rent.
Yeah, for sure. And we just, in general, we're commanding the highest rent in any given neighborhood after a renovation that Seth does.
Amazing. So, Matt, tell people, where can they find your company? What's the website?
Yeah, so we're Keyrenter Tulsa, Keyrenter Oklahoma City, and Keyrenter Arkansas.
Check it out.
.com.
Check it out live from GLC.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I'm feeling like $100 grand.